Welcome back to Orlando Out of Context. I'm Brian.
I'm Stephanie.
Thanks, guys, for joining us this week. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at Orlando Out of Context and visit us at orlandooutofcontext.com. And then subscribe and tune in on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube.
The YouTubes?
Well, I don't normally say that, but I'm throwing YouTube in there. This is an episode about Garden Theater and Winter Garden.
Yay, some new spots.
Let me just kind of tell you what the format's going to be. So we went on site to see
You'll shoot your eye out!
A Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story.
And before we saw the performance on November 30th, we had an interview with Melissa, right?
And
Candice.
So we're going to play the little interview that we did with Melissa and Candice, and then afterwards we're going to give you our thoughts on just basically the whole thing, because we got to watch the play, and then we got to peek around the theater a little bit, learn some history, and also hear some.
And before the show, we went to Plant Street Market.
We had some delicious
So we'll talk
food
about that after the interview. And then we recorded a small additional piece of the interview that I just grabbed on my phone when we were downstairs in the theater, because Melissa revealed that the theater is haunted. So you're going to want to stay tuned all the way to the end to grab that tidbit of an interview that we got from Melissa. We are at Garden Theater in Winter Garden, and we're talking to Melissa, right?
Yeah.
And Melissa, what is your role here?
Okay, so my role is the Director of Patron Development.
Okay.
I mean,
so you're getting
what does that mean?
You're getting people to come and wanting to come back, right?
Right. So my job at the Garden Theater is to talk to all audiences about what we do here at the Garden. Make sure that they understand what kind of programming that we do, whether it's our theater shows, our concerts, dance programming, and then talk to them after. Make sure they get the surveys on time, talk to them about the other opportunities that they have.
And then we're also talking to Candice. So Candice, what do you do for the Garden Theater?
I'm the manager of integrated communications.
So fancy.
I know, it's a long title. It's great. But I really I write everything.
Okay.
So press releases, everything that goes on the website, a little bit of social media, and then I arrange press interviews.
I think that's how we found out about this show that we're going to see tonight, which is A Christmas Story, on your social media, because it's one of my favorite Christmas movies. So I was like, we got to get tickets, and then we got to talk to them, and they got to be on the podcast.
Yay!
So tell us a little bit about the history of Garden Theater and its place in Winter Garden, and then its place in Central Florida overall.
So the Garden Theater itself started in 1935. It was one of the first talkie movie theaters.
Wow, okay.
Way back, right? Mm-hmm. And it had a very loved place in the Winter Garden community. It was where a lot of people came to see their movies. There were other movie theaters in this community eventually. Movie theater, right? And so, they had the screen, but this is the place that people came to come together and see movies, right, on Sundays. Eventually, as TV and radio became much more important, the movie theaters died down, especially single-screen movie theaters. Yeah. So around the 60s, the theater closed down. It was purchased next door. They leveled the stage floor, like the theater floor in the auditorium, and it became like a warehouse for tractors and lawnmowers, right? This whole space became a warehouse.
Okay.
And then around 2003, the city of Winter Garden was looking for an opportunity to have that gathering place again, to bring people together so they could see events. And they thought about this space. And originally the idea was let's just get a place for every single month we'll get together and we'll do something. Okay. But they just had a bigger vision. Becky Roper had and some of the Heritage Museum had a bigger vision for it. And in 2008, it opened as kind of a mini performing arts center. The idea was you don't have to go downtown Orlando to see arts and culture.
So kind of like on the way here, Stephanie and I were talking about, and I said this is like a community theater. Is kind of what I grew up with, this style of theater in California. We would call it a community theater.
I'm not so much familiar with
and my friend who has done community theater in Central Florida would use the term community theater as well. So I noticed that on your marketing pieces, you don't, at least from what I saw, you don't use the term community theater. So tell me about like community theater. Would you classify this as community theater? What would you describe this type of theater to those who kind of are familiar with that smaller theater environment?
So I think that we are a theater for the community, but a community theater in this area is often used to talk about theater that doesn't pay its performers. It doesn't pay its tech
That's
crew.
what I was wondering.
It doesn't pay.
Are these just like adults having fun and hanging out? Or
Yeah, and you know what? In 2008, and when the Garden started to produce its own theater, yes, absolutely. And there needs to be a place for that in every single community.
it's kind of a bummer once you get older and you graduate high school and college and you kind of lose those outlets to, have your creative things that you do.
Yes, yes. Because everybody, I used to be a performer, and where do you go when you have a full-time job and then you want to go act, right? So it's important to have those outlets. What the Garden Theater has become and what we're working towards becoming is a regional theater.
Okay.
And right now I would say we are a small professional theater. We do pay all of our actors. We pay our
that's
tech
something that I didn't know,
crew.
because I was like, oh yeah, they don't, this is all like volunteer basis, they don't pay. So it's a real...
Yeah.
But looking at the schedule, what's this particular show we're seeing tonight runs the whole month, right?
It runs through December 23rd.
So that's quite a commitment. All the people that do this, they're the same. They do every show.
They
do
have
every
to
show.
commit
To every show.
Yeah. We don't double cast or anything like that. What I would say is that because we do rehearse in the evening, and most of our shows are on the evening and on the weekends, so many of our actors do have a second job. A lot of them are performers down at Disney, Universal. They are professional actors making a living acting, looking for a different outlet.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Candice,
really cool.
have you ever done any acting or anything like that?
I'm actually a musician.
Oh,
I play
okay.
oboe and saxophone, and so I've played in pit orchestras for musicals.
Oh,
But I've never
nice.
been on stage, and I'm okay with that. I'll stay in the pit.
So what about here? Do we have a live orchestra for this show? We're gonna see A Christmas Story.
Really?
well,
not
this one is a play. It's the
Okay, so
play
it's play.
version.
Okay.
Orchestra gets me
Yes.
excited. I grew up playing the flute, and I was in the band. I just love live music.
So this A Christmas Story has no music. It's just a straight play.
Just
Okay.
it's very similar to the movie that you grew up
So
watching.
do you? We'll kind of go on the topic of A Christmas Story. So do you know a little bit about this stage production? When was this stage production realized? Has it been elsewhere in the U.S.? Do you know anything about?
Yes. So this production has been done multiple times in the country. I don't know when it was actually written. When the playwright actually wrote it.
I want to say about 10 years ago, the Gene Shepard, who wrote the original book and the movie, he gave its blessing to this play.
Okay.
So it was before he passed.
Okay.
I just don't know when.
I've never seen it anywhere advertised as a play. That's why I got so excited.
Yeah. And they did the musical version last year on NBC. Maya Rudolph played the mom,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, so there is a musical version.
There is a musical
as well.
version. Yeah. I didn't see it.
Maya Rudolph played the mom.
Maya Rudolph is the mom.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Who's Maya Rudolph?
She's the comedian.
She was on SNL.
She was in Bridesmaids. She was the best friend. No, yeah, Bridesmaids.
right.
She was the best friend
Yeah.
in
Oh.
Bridesmaids.
Yes, she's great.
That would be funny.
It was. She's wonderful, and I don't know who else was in it though.
I don't remember.
But this version is a play. It follows very much the same lines as the movie, the film. I would say the only difference is that, in the film they have that narrator voice.
Right.
You can't do that very easily on stage, or it's not if they just had the voiceover. So we do have an actor who is the narrator, who is older Ralphie, who guides you through the entire show.
Kind of like the same concept for Into the Woods a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
the
good.
narrator.
Yeah, it's really...
I know my theater.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's awesome. So tell us about what this 2018-19 season, what else is left in the season after A Christmas Story?
So our next show in the season is a show that actually we're one of the first places in the Southeast to be performing it. It's called The Legend of Georgia McBride. Matthew Lopez, who is a Hispanic playwright from the Florida Panhandle, wrote it. Matthew Lopez is one of the most produced playwrights in the country right now.
Okay.
He wrote a show called The Whipping Man. Whipping Man. Oh no. My kid has a book that's called One, and the other one is the play.
Okay.
But he wrote this awesome story. It is the Florida Panhandle, Elvis, and drag queens.
Okay.
Right?
That's a lot.
That's a lot
going on.
All you need to know. It is not...
My imagination is running wild.
See?
So that's the show that's coming.
That's coming
here?
next. So that's in January, February. And
that might be interesting to come see that.
Come see it, and it's not a musical, but because of the drag queens of the show, right there, and Elvis, there's lots of music, there's lip syncing, it's
that
fun.
Sounds fun.
Lots of glitter. Lots of
glitter. And they're doing a movie version of it.
They are is it?
It's the Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory is going to be in the movie adaptation, and that's in production right now. So we're getting to see it live on stage.
Cool. Very nice.
It's fun.
Okay, so what else for 2019?
So the next one is a play that is based on a book that I had to read in high school.
Okay.
That I actually read in high school because it was relatively short.
That you actually read.
That I actually read. Did not read the cliff notes. Did not skim it. And I got to see on Broadway last year. It is 1984.
Okay.
And when they did it on Broadway a couple years ago, people were fainting in the audience and were terrified because it's so compelling and gripping and scary, and it's like what you see in the movies, but it's live on stage.
Okay.
And it's really a show about our time, and Big Brother is always watching you.
Okay.
Sixth show. Oh my gosh, we have 4 more shows this season. The
Wow.
next show, I know.
We only have 1 month left.
Well, no. The season goes 2018, 2019.
Oh,
so we're in the middle of their season right now.
Okay. I don't know anything about theater, let's be honest.
Well, that's why
I
you're here
was
today.
just a big piano nerd in school, and I never ever, that's all I did was stuff if there was live music and stuff like that. So I was never into theater.
Well,
so that's why I'm here to learn new stuff.
Good. Yes.
So the rest of the shows for this season then?
So the final show, not the final show.
Sixth show.
The 6th show is Elton John's Billy Elliot the Musical.
Okay.
It was a Tony Award winner.
Yeah, that's a popular one.
It has not been done in Central Florida, so we're one of the first people to do it here. But that's going to be our big blockbuster in May. And then the final show of the season is Flashdance the Musical.
Okay. Cool. I didn't know Flashdance was a musical.
But
I know the
obviously
movie.
should be,
yeah,
right?
Right. With the definitely.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah. So when did your season start? When does the season normally start?
August. So it's August through. So typically, until last year, it was August through May, and this is the second year that it ends in July.
Okay. So tell us about, if I wanted to come and see all those shows, what do you offer? You offer a season ticket?
Yeah. So if you wanted to see, they're getting ready.
Yep, and you guys are going to hear a little bit of the mic checks, which is cool. Because we're sitting in the mezzanine of the theater, so the theater and the stage is
the
just below us.
backstage cool place where all the technical stuff is, like all the buttons.
So tell us about your season pass.
Right. So if you get in And
if you get in
at the beginning, you get a 7-show pass,
okay.
and that is 1 ticket to every single show in the season. So you get to pass to see everything.
And do you get the same seats each show? Because when growing up, in Sacramento, we had something called Music Circus in Sacramento. Yeah. And so I grew up every summer going to Music Circus, and we had season tickets, and we would have the same seats for every show that summer.
Yeah. So yes and no. If you buy it, you say I want to have the same seat for every show. Totally. If you say, you know what, actually, I need to move it around, and I can't attend on that Thursday. I need to go on a Friday. Then I can't guarantee it. But you know. Just let us know. We'll figure it out.
Cool.
But we do still have, obviously, most of the shows, or half the shows, are done this season.
Right.
But we do offer a 3-show, like, build your own
package
season
type thing.
So you can still get that. You could see Christmas Story and Georgia McBride and 1984 if you want.
Whatever you're most interested in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to get an idea of the size, how many seats are here?
295.
Okay. And it's one level?
One level. When it was a movie theater, this used to be another level.
Okay.
Like, you used to have more.
Gotcha. Okay. So do you do special events here? Like if somebody wanted to rent out the theater for their own special event, do you do that?
Yeah. So in fact, we are our theater, since we perform in the evenings and on the weekends. During the day, it's dark. So often we rent it out to other companies and organizations who are looking for meeting space, corporate, just corporate rentals.
Right.
All the time.
Do you ever have weddings here?
Yes. Yes. And they're beautiful. And next door is the Co-op Ballroom, which is over Pilar's, and that they use that for weddings as well. So often they'll have a wedding down in the theater, and then they'll move upstairs to the ballroom for the reception.
So tell us a little bit about, because we're in a pretty good location here in Winter Garden, excuse me. So tell us about kind of what's around here, what people coming to the theater, what can they do that's kind of around, like restaurants, etc.
We were kind of getting the lay of the land when we walked from the parking garage.
What are you guys gonna do?
Well, I don't know what we're gonna do after this interview because we have some time between the interview and the show. She's never been to Crooked Can, and what do they call it? Is it just Crooked Can? Because it's like a Plant Street Market, exactly. Because it's like a food market.
Okay.
So they have that. What else? What are some of your favorite restaurants on this main strip here in Winter Garden?
Yeah, I mean, Market to Table is wonderful. They actually offer an appetizer. What is it called? A prefixed meal.
Yeah, like a 3-course prefixed meal. And they'll get you to the show on time, so you're not waiting for.
You just let them know.
For anything.
Yeah. You let them know I'm going to the show.
Ticket.
Yeah, just call them, let them know.
They would do it. And one of the things I like about it is I like to people watch. And
we love to people watch.
Right? So you can get
it's
a glass
probably my favorite
of wine.
sport after football.
After football.
After football.
And now theater.
Yeah. It
Yes.
might be my new love.
So those who are looking to come down into Winter Garden who haven't been here before, I have been here several times, and I've actually seen something in this theater. I don't remember what it was, but I have seen something. There's a lot to do along, what's the street that we're on? Plant Street. So there's a lot to do along
And I
Plant
think
Street.
there's some kind of special event tonight here, Light Up Night or something.
Yeah, Light Up Winter Garden.
And I didn't remember the parking garage. Is that relatively new, the parking garage that's behind the theater?
About 5 years old.
5 years, yeah.
But it's so helpful, isn't it?
It's pretty good. They sent us an email to beware because they're having, what's the event, the Christmas event that's happening?
Light Up Winter Garden.
Yeah, they're having Light Up Winter Garden. So they sent us an email because we had bought tickets to warn us that the parking garage is going to fill up pretty quick. So it's a substantial parking garage, so I'm surprised that it's going to fill up.
It's really nice. And it guys, I mean, I've only been here with the theater for a year, and I'm always surprised that there are people here, I mean, just on Plant Street all the time. It's so active and fun and busy, and I just love the atmosphere.
Candice, how long have you been working here?
I started late July. So
Oh,
not
okay.
very long at all.
So you guys are new.
We're newbies.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a nice area, and I recommend all of our listeners to come down here and just park and take a walk. And I'm excited to see. I'm guessing it's going to be lit up on the street.
Yeah, I haven't seen Light Up Winter Garden yet myself.
Okay.
So.
Do you guys live in the area?
Well, no.
We can cut that part. We can cut that part out.
No, but
Well, no.
I'm here every day.
That's okay. I mean, you don't have to live here, we can still appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
For sure.
So tell us each kind of about your. I realize that this interview is more about Winter Garden and the Garden Theater, but tell us where you're originally from, Melissa. Like, what brought you to Florida?
I've been in the Orlando area since 2004. I came down here as a performer, and I acted with Orlando Shakespeare Theater and Walt Disney World and all around town. And the Garden Theater. I was in one of the shows in like 2008 to 2010, and then came and joined the Garden Theater as in admin last year.
So now that you work here, are you still allowed to participate or no?
You know what? I haven't even asked. To be perfectly honest, my husband actually directed A Christmas Story, which is kind of cool, but because he's also in entertainment with Universal Orlando, so we tag team often, but I haven't even asked. So we'll see. I'll let you know.
And Candice, what about you? Where did you? Well, Melissa, what state did you come from? Would you from Florida, or are you from?
All over. I lived most of my life in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
But I came from Seattle, Washington.
Oh, cool. West Coast.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. And Candice, what about you? Where do you come from, and then what brought you to what kind of your experience before the theater?
Yeah, so I moved here in July for this position. I saw like a job listing online, and I just fell in love with the theater. Like, look at the little stars on this one. She's so cute. But before, for the last year, I was working at an art center in Milledgeville, Georgia.
Okay.
It was like a little.
One of my old roommates used to go to college in Milledgeville.
Georgia College and State. Yeah. So I lived right
I
next
used to
there.
visit her there.
It's a cute little town. Not as cute as Winter Garden, honestly. But still cute. But yeah, it was like a black box theater / art gallery. So I was there for a year, and then before that, I was just north of Atlanta at Reinhardt University.
Oh, so not far.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think of Florida so far?
It's hotter than Georgia, but
Is it?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
They get snow there sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I went home for Thanksgiving, and it was like in the 30s. And then I came back here, and I'm still wearing my winter coat from the plane. I was like, oh, I'm back. Okay.
So, perfect. This is perfect. You can subscribe to our podcast, and we're going to just orient you with all the good things in Orlando.
Perfect.
Since you're so new to the area.
That's right.
Sounds good.
That's what it's for. So the last thing I want to talk about, and we can talk about other things too, but the last thing on the agenda is to talk about the 2019-2020
What's
season.
new and upcoming.
Because you told me before we started recording that you've just gotten word of the full lineup for next season.
Right, so we cannot announce everything right now.
Okay.
We're holding back on most of the titles, but we will be announcing later in the winter and the spring. But we found out today, and we're happy to announce that we got the rights to a show that was recently on Broadway.
Okay.
It was a movie, and it won Best Musical? And
Yes, 5 Tony Awards, including Best Musical and Best Book of a Musical, I think.
In 2013.
2013.
So it's Matilda the musical.
Oh, okay, cool.
And
that's fun.
We're super. Stephanie, do you know Matilda?
This is the movie where the little girl
Yes!
moves things.
Yes.
That's all I really know about
Yes.
it.
See, that's what I remember as a kid. This movie was one of the ones that I would sit down with my mom and watch, and my little sister watched it. So
I don't think I've ever watched it. I think I just know of it
Yeah.
from just like seeing it in passing and stuff.
Yeah.
I would watch that as a kid. I don't know if we owned it, but I've seen it several times. Like, I don't know if it was just on TV, but yeah, I have memories of watching that as a kid.
And
Matilda.
when Miss Trunbull throws her,
Yeah,
Spins her around.
there's so many classic scenes in that movie. Yeah, so that's, and I knew that it was on stage on Broadway. So that's great that it's coming here. That'll be a huge draw.
It's a huge draw, and one of the things that the Garden Theater is really excited about is we want to be a place where young performers get their first professional credits. And this season we have more than 21 roles for youth.
Well, I was looking at your Instagram, and A Christmas Story has lots of parts for kids, and I see the cast, backstage and on the Instagram, and that's awesome that you have that, because this is a professional theater. It's great to give them that opportunity to do stuff.
That's interesting to work with children. I wonder how that would go. Mm-hmm. In a professional setting, like how do you find children that are like, the
right temperament?
Yeah, and that they're like gonna stick it through, and they're gonna like be involved beginning to end.
Well, hopefully they already know, right? That that's the
but I'm sure if they're coming here, they aren't very interested.
Yeah.
Because no parent is gonna like force you to do something like this. As kids, like, I want to do it. Yeah. I'm interested.
Yeah, I actually helped out at one of the rehearsals, kind of just making sure all the kids stayed in the same room. Everyone behaved. These kids they're amazing. Well, first, they all get along really well.
More professional than the adults.
Sometimes. Yeah.
But yeah, they all get along. It's kind of funny. The two actors who play Randy and Ralphie, the brothers in the show, they do act like real brothers offset. So that's pretty good. But yeah, all the kids are very professional, and they love what they're doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to bring up. Bringing the ability for the kids to come in and act professionally. I think that's great. And like you said, their first professional credits. Right. Very cool.
So all the people there, they all live like in this area?
A lot of the actors, a lot of them do. This is an area that is growing so much here in Claremont and Mineola. So a lot of these, since they're Disney performers, the Universal performers, they live here because it's quick.
We're in the backyard.
Right.
We're in the backyard
it's right
of
there.
Disney and Universal.
It's good for us too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
It was nice.
Was there anything else that you guys want us to know about the theater before we sign off?
Any hot tips? Any pro tips?
If you're someone who does want to definitely see Matilda, then people who subscribe, if you have a 3-show subscription, if you're interested in the rest of the titles this season, people are going to get first dibs on Matilda and the rest of the season.
So if you have a subscription to the current season, the 18-19 season,
yes,
right now, which you could still do for those 3,
totally.
You would have first dibs on Matilda for the 19-20 season.
Correct.
All right, so that's
and then
that's a pro
anyone
tip.
interested, they can follow you on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and go to gardentheater.org to sign up for our email newsletters.
And I believe the Instagram is Garden Theater FL on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then just on Facebook, search for Garden Theater. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time and allowing us to check it out.
We're excited for the show tonight.
We're so excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can't wait to hear.
So before we arrived on November 30th that evening, I got an email in my inbox because I purchased the ticket saying that we better watch out for parking because it was going to be crazy. And then the reason why it was going to be crazy down in Winter Garden on Plant Street is because they were having
Light Up Winter Garden, and
so,
it was popping.
Yes,
there was tons of people there.
There were so many people. I did not expect that many people to be there. They were not lying in that email.
And then, so we went in. We had our little interview when we came back out because we wanted to kind of explore and have dinner before the 7:30 show. And once we came out, the streets were full.
Yeah,
packed.
The streets were full. I'm sure the parking garage was full, and that parking garage that we parked in, that's just behind the theater, is pretty substantial in size. And so we did get a spot in there because we got there so early. But from there, after the interview, we walked down. Steph had never been to Plant Street Market.
It's so cute. I can't believe I've never been there all this time.
Yeah, we walked down because they've been there for a while now, the Plant Street Market. And they have a new building that I hadn't seen where there's a BurgerFi and then a steak joint.
I never really go. I don't think I've ever been to that area. I go as deep as Winter Garden Village, and that's it. I don't think I've been.
Yeah, it is a little bit more of a trek if you're getting off 429 to Winter Garden Village. It's a little bit further to get to actual Winter Garden. What I would describe it as, because I was thinking about it, it's kind of like a small town, like a legitimate small town, not like Celebration, like a real small town with like a stone throws away from Orlando. Like if you wanted to go feel like kind of a small town vibe, you can go to Winter Garden.
And that's what was there. It was all the families that were coming out to, take part in this community event. Right. But they had such a nice mixture of storefronts, like between the Plant Street Market that we went to and the theater. I mean, there was everything. There was a Mexican restaurant. There was a quilting shop with fabric and stuff for sewing. There was a shop to buy like olive oil.
Just olive oil?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know where you go buy, and it's like flavored oils.
Oh, okay.
Like
you can dispense it yourself?
Yes, okay. Yeah.
There was a French restaurant.
There was the French restaurant.
There's Urban Flats, which Urban Flats has been around for a while. And you know what? I think Urban Flats, where was Urban Flats before they moved? I think they were more at Winter Garden Village. I think that they were kind of by, you know where the Cracker Barrel is across from Winter Garden Village and where the Red Robin is?
Yeah.
I think that they were in there and then they moved to the little downtown area.
They had a bike store.
It's like a small
I would like
town.
to be there like during maybe the evening when on a non-event night.
Well, I was also thinking about it. I was thinking like there's a lot of parking.
Yeah.
Because you didn't see some of the parking.
On a normal night. And because of the event, they had the streets shut down.
Right.
Because they also had booths in the middle that were just there for the festival.
So we went to Plant Street Market, as we said, and I think that, because I was expecting it to be much busier, I think that on another Friday night where the Light Up Winter Garden was not happening, that the Plant Street Market would be crazy.
Yeah, I was talking to a lady who was selling
essential
oils, and she was like, oh, it's kind of slow today. And I looked left and I looked right, and I was like, you think this is slow? Because it was kind of like bustling. I thought it was pretty busy.
It was kind of bustling, but I expected to wait in kind of like 15 to 30 minute lines for food.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how it was the other times you've been there?
No, but it's just because I know that place is popular and it's a Friday night, so everyone's getting geared up for the weekend. So I've never been there on a Friday night. Actually, I've never been there at nighttime. I've only been there during the daytime alongside the Winter Garden farmers market, which I think the Winter Gardens farmer market, in my opinion, is better than Winter Park's.
When are you going to take me? Let's go. Is it on Friday or Saturday?
It's on Saturday.
Or Saturday or Sunday?
It's on Saturday mornings.
Okay. We need to go sometime then.
Yeah, I think it's better. I think there's like the Orchid guy is the same vendor he goes downtown. The one that's at the Lake Eola farmers market. I think he's the one. Is he the one that's there? I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah. So what did we have at Plant Street? We had macked, which is macaroni and cheese.
It was pretty good.
It was very good.
So we got broccoli and chicken inside there. And I don't normally like cheddar cheese, but I feel like that was cheddar cheese in there.
I think that there was probably
because it was a
cheddar.
darker cheese.
I think there was probably cheddar. I'm not sure what his recipe was.
It was good.
But overall, it was really... And I think what really made it was the breadcrumbs on top.
Oh, breadcrumbs. I love breadcrumbs on top of
it. It was not an eggy mac and cheese. It
No.
was definitely a creamy mac
creamy.
and cheese, which is my preference.
And the broccoli was like... I loved the texture of the broccoli. It was good.
Yeah, it was good.
And then we also got a wood-fired pizza.
And that came from Michael's Alley, a coal-fired pizza. And I was happy with the pizza. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
I thought it was, like when you get pizza that's too hot and it doesn't taste quite right.
Yeah.
It needs to cool down just a little bit so everything kind of like melds together properly. So after it cooled down a little bit, it was and they have
good. A nice little system. You give them your phone number and they text you when the pizza's ready. That way you can kind of roam around and you can see what else is going on there. So we each went our separate ways, got our food, and came back and found a table.
So I stopped and grabbed a beer from Crooked Can, and I got the Cloud Chaser, which I really
smelled
liked.
it, and it smelled good.
It was really good.
To me, it looked like a light beer.
It was light because
maybe something similar to
I don't get down with the IPAs. I don't get down with. I just need it to be light tasting, like a Heineken or something. I don't want all that hoppy stuff. It's not for me. So anyway, once we were finished there, we headed back down Plant Street, and there was even more people, I think.
Yeah.
It just kept filling with people, and there was little booths, and they were selling things, and
they were painting
food
faces. They were giving out light toys to kids. Santa was there. Oh, they had characters. They had someone dressed up as the Grinch.
Well, I think that was just. I don't think that was an organized
They had.
thing.
Did you see the stilt walker?
I saw the stilt walker.
There was a stilt walker dressed like a nutcracker. They had a really big, beautiful tree.
Yeah, their Christmas tree was really beautiful. And this, unfortunately, this is like a one and done thing. You can't, like, they do this once. I think they don't have any more dates, but I'm guessing they leave all the lights up. I would hope so. That would be a lot of work for no reason if they didn't leave the lights up.
It's kind of cool that we just happened to be there on that night. Like, seriously, everything worked out great. Because then we got to experience that, and we didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah. I would highly recommend, if you do decide to go next year for the 32nd annual, because this was the 31st annual, that's a long time to be doing this. Make sure you go early to
maybe
grab
go
your
early,
parking.
grab dinner. That way your car is parked. And
I would get there by...
There. I think we arrived at like 5:30? 5?
No, the interview was at 5, so I think we arrived about 4:45, and you would be safe. So grab dinner and then just wait for things to start happening.
Yeah.
But definitely a great experience, and Winter Garden is just, I think, a nice place to go and kind of get out of the tourist attractions, get out of the
Make
city.
you feel more like home.
Yeah, well, small town.
Yeah.
And then I enjoyed the Christmas Story performance. I thought it was really good.
Me too. It was cute. I haven't seen like a stage production in a really long time.
I was also, like, from the interview, you heard that they do pay their actors, so they are professional theater. I think that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that. And so I think that's really interesting. I think that's awesome that there's something like that in there.
The tickets were reasonably priced, and then you see on the program they do have a few sponsors as well.
I think the tickets were $35, and then of course you can do the 3-ticket or 3-show and season
package.
Ticket package. So that I definitely think that it's well worth the trip, especially if there's a show that you really enjoy or you want to see. It's well worth the trip out there to go see it there at Garden Theater in Winter Garden.
My favorite character was the lady who played Miss Shields. Her name is Julie Snyder. She was so funny.
She's a fantastic character
her
actress
acting was
for sure.
Just right. It wasn't, sometimes you have those scenes that's like, you're like, really? It's a little over the top. Mm-hmm. But it kind of lined up with, Miss Shields, I really liked the way that they did it, because it doesn't, it wasn't exactly by the book to the movie, but it was very, the vision that they had was cute.
Right.
And like the scenes where she was talking about Ralphie's paper and all that was so funny.
The thing that this show does that the movie does not is they threw in a little bit of like a love story.
Oh yeah, Ralphie had a little bae.
Yeah, so that's the one different. Of course, I would have to go back and watch the film.
I don't remember any really girls in the whole film.
No, but I would have to watch the film to see if there's anything else that there was missing or that they added. But that was the one thing that I did note, is that Ralphie had a love interest, whereas in the film he does not.
Like the main point was really about his plan, how he was going to get this gun for Christmas. And I felt that it was more driven home through the play as opposed to watching the movie. That's kind of what he wants. But at the end of it, I wouldn't say that was the main point of the movie.
Right.
Like almost every scene is.
Yeah, I think that like
one way he's trying to attack, like how I'm going to get this gun. Who am I going to help? Like, where am I going to put these ads? Like, who am I going to talk to?
Yeah, it definitely drives it more home in this stage production. That's his main goal. And there's another scene, how there's the scene of the robbers in the backyard, and they did kind of portray that scene a little bit from the movie, but they added another one where
he was like a cowboy.
They're in the jungle.
Oh yeah, the jungle. I forgot about that one.
And that that was not in the film, and it just kind of it goes back to the gun and
all the ads that he sent in the mail.
Yeah.
So in the movie, he puts one ad into his mother's girly magazine.
Yeah.
But here, he takes all the magazines from all his friends,
girly
rips out
magazine.
every ad, and puts them in his mailbox as if they were mail.
And so as the days progress in the stage production,
each day they're getting
the parents are getting
like, what is all this spam we're
ads.
getting?
Yeah.
But then another I liked, they had a narrator who was playing like the adult Ralphie, and his name was Brett Walden, and he was really good too.
Yeah, he was really good, and it was just great how he interacted with the characters, even though it was kind of like a Christmas Carol where they don't really see that he's there, know that he's there, but he kind of interacts.
But there are
sometimes.
points that he interacts.
Yeah. And then he'll fill in for characters. Like he would change costumes really quick to be a character. I'm like the guy who delivers the
Christmas tree
lamp.
Oh, he was that guy too?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that he was the guy that was selling the Christmas tree until he whipped the hat off and then started talking. I didn't even realize. But I love the vantage point of that. It was cute.
Yeah, no, it was really well done. So if you have the opportunity to see that on stage, I would definitely see it. Now this is running
till December 23rd.
So you still have time after this airs to go see if you can grab a ticket. Hopefully you can, but this show seems to be pretty popular. So after we had finished the interview that you have already listened to, we went downstairs just to take some pictures.
So we got to record upstairs in the mezzanine.
Yes. We got to take some pictures downstairs, and while we were downstairs, Melissa brought up the fact that the museum is haunted.
The theater is haunted.
I'm sorry.
What's wrong with you today? You were at the spa all day. That's what.
No.
You're too relaxed.
I'm so relaxed.
I need you do you need me to come over there and pinch your nipples? Can I get you an espresso? Like, what is going on?
So for those who are listening, I'm going to leave this bit in. So we're recording this Sunday. It's Sunday, right?
Sunday.
I don't even know what day it is. And I did go to the Ritz this morning, and I guess I'm just too relaxed, but I'm going to have to do a lot of editing on this episode. So forgive me if I'm like so far gone. I gotta put a pep in my step because we're recording
you're always
another
the
episode.
one telling me to put a pep in my step. I'm gonna make you an espresso after this.
Anyway, so Melissa told us that the museum.
Just shut up. Let me talk.
Okay.
So Melissa told us. She said, "Yeah, it's the theater's haunted," and I was like, "Oh my god," because I'm like intrigued by ghosts.
So I was like, "Let me whip out my phone."
Yeah. So he whipped out his phone, and we did like another little. We wanted to add that on for you guys to let you hear it too. So we're gonna put that clip in here, but. At the end of the day, we loved visiting the Garden Theater, and a big thank you to Melissa and Candice for having us. And
thank you so much. And they were even the ticket lady at the window was so nice. She let us in when they weren't quite there yet. Everyone was just very nice there. The ushers were so nice.
Even
Everyone
all the
was
volunteers
so nice.
that were there when we came to see the show, they were all so happy, smiling. They all have like a lot of passion for the theater.
Yeah, so. I just felt like there was a sense of community in the room, and so I think we both definitely highly recommend go seeing a show there. I would definitely see another show there. This is actually my second. I don't remember what the first show I saw was, but head over to Winter Garden and support Garden Theater for sure.
And you can follow them on Instagram. I don't know what
the Instagram is Garden Theater FL. So at Garden Theater FL, make sure to tell them Orlando Out of Context sent you. And so we're going to play that clip for you now.
I said it, but we know it.
So it's haunted?
So the theater is haunted. I have not, we hold ghost tours as part of...
Oh, you gotta come back! I love haunted things.
It's so cool. So we are part of the they will come here a couple times a year, and they'll do a package where you can go all throughout the theater, and the space is next door as well.
Okay.
To see.
So what happens? Like what?
I have not done it, so everything I'm telling you is secondhand, but they do bring out the readers, and they'll ask questions that are more like yes, no, very simple answers, and often I think it's a little device that kind of looks like a phone, and it will pop up an answer.
So have you ever felt any paranormal activity while you were in here?
I have not. Well, so last weekend.
See, what happened was...
last weekend, for the first time, I thought I saw something. And I asked our facilities manager, I thought I saw something, and it was, you see where that light is up there on the left hand, on the balcony? I thought that inside the window there was a white figure.
Okay.
And I asked our events manager, who is one of the ones that helps do these tours, and he said that's where she appears.
Oh, she.
There are usually two. It's a female and a male.
Okay.
So who knows what I saw? But
He said
Candice,
it's
have you
upstairs,
seen
too.
anything?
upstairs.
I have not. I have not given myself the chance to be here at night.
She has
So,
not
like,
given
you
herself
see
to
it,
the
let
darkness.
Don't feel it, you know?
I will tell you that I run out as fast as I can if I am here by
By
myself.
yourself.
I had to walk through here like in the middle of the day last week.
And there's
I
nobody here.
I ran towards the stage. I was like, I'm not.
Well,
looking
you know,
at
they say
anything.
that's what
Not doing
happens
it.
in old spaces because there's so much history and so many like energies.
Yeah.
So
Well, the good thing is that they've always been friendly to us, so we
That's
will
good.
love them and own them, and
They can be a part of Ghost Tour.
that's
cool.
All right, cool. Thank you again for joining us for Orlando Out of Context. Please make sure that you go and follow us at Orlando Out of Context on Instagram, and visit us at orlandooutofcontext.com, and then listen and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play.
5 stars.
Make sure you give a 5-star review. All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.
Bye. All right. Bye.
No.
No, bye. Okay.